What you have to do is politics.
It's not politics.
If I buy the plane, you are continuing.
The atmosphere in the air-conditioned office of Jibril Kanazwe, a renowned contractor and businessman in Ouagadougou, is heated. Jibril Kanazwe paused my interview with him and seized the voice recorder. He accused me of trapping him to disclose information he would ordinarily not disclose. I was in Burkina Faso to investigate allegations that he used undue influence to win a contract. He defended the process through which he won the contract and justified the cost of the project. The Ghana Embassy fence wall in Burkina Faso was built around a piece of land that is yet to be developed. The land is about the size of a football pitch and is located at the ambassadorial enclave in Ouagadougou. Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso at the time of the project, Chief Dauda Mandiaya Baumia, said he wrote to Mr. Kanazwe and two other contractors to submit quotations for the project. He does not remember the names of the other two. There are allegations that the contractor who eventually won the contract is his close friend. Chief Baumia does not dispute this claim.
He's my friend and he continues to be my friend because we didn't break up the relationship after I left her.
Mr. Kanazwe explains how he won the contract.
Each institution have his way of managing his contracts matter. We got a letter from the embassy that a bid, and we have sent our code. We replied to the bid, and we got the contract.
Was it advertised in newspapers or they wrote to you directly?
Oh, they wrote to us. It was not on newspaper.
A former chief executive officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Ajenim Boatinya said, a contract of this nature should have gone through competitive bidding.
The law has provided for thresholds above which a method is to be used. Now, if you talk of a 650,000 or a 2 million contract or 2 million procurement, the law definitely requires that, one, you cannot use request for quotation because it's got a threshold of 20,000 and above. It could either be a national competitive tendering or international competitive tendering.
He said the Foreign Affairs Ministry could have obtained approval from the Public Procurement Authority if it wanted to use restricted tender.
Restrictive tendering and sole source are methods which are not restricted by value. But then the law makes a clear, provides a clear instructions that such methods of procurement must have a prior approval from the Public Procurement Authority.
Attempts to get details of the contract from the Foreign Affairs Ministry yielded no results. The Public Procurement Authority, on the other hand, would not comment on whether the ministry sought approval or not. In the office of Mr. Kanazwe hangs a photograph of him and President John Mahama. Exactly a week before I went to meet him in Burkina Faso, President Mahama had commissioned the 46-kilometer Dodo Pepeso section of the Eastern Corridor Road, Mr. Kanazwe's latest project in Ghana.
I also want to take the opportunity to thank Meshes Umaru Kanazwe, Contractors Limited of Burkina Faso, for the very high quality of work they have done on this stretch of road. As I said, perhaps this is one of the best quality roads in Ghana today.
But it appears the road was not as good as the president made us believe. 1 month after commissioning, it started to develop potholes. Joy News has evidence that Jibril Kanazwe sent a brand new Ford Expedition vehicle to President Mahama in 2012, the year he got the embassy fence wall contract and a 25.9 million euros road contract.
There was this vehicle you gave as a gift in 2012, that's the Ford Expedition. Was it meant for the ambassador or it was meant for the president?
No, that one, I'm not aware of that one. I'm just aware of the wall.
But you also gave a Ford Expedition car to the ambassador, and I want to know who it was intended for.
No, I did not give a Ford Expedition to the ambassador.
In 2012, when the vehicle was given, Ghana's embassy in Burkina Faso wrote a letter ordering border authorities at Paga to allow the vehicle to pass. That letter reads,
I have been directed to inform you that the Ghana Mission in Ouagadougou is assisting with the transportation of a gift donated to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, by Mr. Jibril Kanazwe, a renowned contractor in Burkina Faso. The said gift is a Ford Expedition with engine number E173 A190 5101 and chassis number 1FMJ UI J58 AEB 60748. I am to request the competent Ghanaian border authorities at the Paga border to kindly assist with the passage of the said vehicle and those transporting it without any let or hindrance. I wish to take this opportunity on behalf of His Excellency the Ambassador to express the mission's appreciation in anticipation of your kind cooperation. Signed for Head of Mission by Maxwell Nyakonlate, Head of Chancery.
It is a letter which suggests that you sent a gift of Ford Expedition. The chassis number is quoted
to the
here.
ambassador.
Yes, to be given to the president. This is a chassis number.
This is to the president, not to the ambassador.
Yes, so did you give a gift to the president?
Yes.
You gave a gift?
Yeah.
Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso at the time, Chief Dauda Bawumia, told Joy News he facilitated the passage of the vehicle through the Paga border into Ghana.
When the laissez-passer was issued, I did accompany the car to Bolgatanga, handed it over to the Upper East Regional Minister then to forward it to the President, telling him how the car came, that it was a gift from Jibril Kanazwe.
But you are aware it was handed over to the President?
I handed it over to the then Upper East Regional Minister.
Makoyongo.
Yes, and that is all that I know as at now. But I do believe that, yes, it would have been handed over to the President.
Jibril Kanazwe said President Mahama acknowledged receipt of the vehicle.
He called me, he said, thank you very much.
So after receiving the car, he called you to thank you for the gift?
Yes.
Joy News checks revealed that the said Ford Expedition entered Ghana on October 29, 2012, with one Quadrigo Sheikh Mohammed as the importer. It was declared as a used vehicle and cleared at the Tema SEPS on 13 February 2013 by Vision Logistics Limited, a private clearing agent. A duty of 23,600 Ghana cedis was paid. Details of the person in whose name the vehicle was registered were however not found in the systems of the DVLA and Customs when Joy News checked. According to highly placed sources within the DVLA and Customs, the absence of the details meant that the vehicle had either not been registered or that the registration details were deliberately deleted from the records. Joy News sources close to the presidency, however, say the vehicle is in use. Joy News has tried to get a response from the president, but he has declined to comment. I did not tell the president's advisor on governance, Daniel Batadam, that I was investigating the president, but I sought his views on the provisions of the Code of Ethics, which President Mahama launched in 2013 for his ministers and other political appointees. I asked him about the essence of the code and whether it applied to the conduct of the president.
It's a kind of unified code which defines and gives us some minimum standards that if you are a public official, you have to conduct yourself in certain ways or the other. And these minimum standards apply to public officials at all levels. You were mentioning, the president. Including the president. The president is the #1 public official of the land. So anything that has to do with the conduct of public officials begins and ends with the president.
The president's conduct seemed to contradict some provision of his own code, as well as the conflict of interest guidelines by Shraj and the Conduct of Public Officers Bill 2013. Mr. Batadam explained why President Mahama's Code of Ethics prohibits ministers of state and other government appointees from accepting gifts from commercial entities.
Because gifts can and do qualify sometimes as bribes. They are a very high potential ground for corruption. And so gifts must be, especially gifts to public officials, must be regulated and must be clearly defined in terms of the quantum and all that.
Conduct of Public Officers Bill 2013, which is awaiting passage into law, also frowns on such gifts. Section 21B of the bill states, and I quote, "A public officer shall not accept a gift, a favor, or an advantage that has the potential to influence the proper discharge of the public officer's functions or judgment from a person with whom the public officer comes into contact in relation to the public officer's functions." Daniel Batidam again.
A president initiating this kind of code is a sign to those he has appointed that, although they may not have committed crimes, but there are standards to which he expects them to live. The question you ask then is, what if he himself doesn't live up to those standards? If he himself has initiated a code by which he wants to set standards for his appointees, we can only trust that he himself will show the leadership that is required to be able to have a moral ground to demand same of his appointees. It begs the question whether he himself would like to set standards and then, not show the example of leadership in terms of it. I believe that every president who undertakes to have a kind of code or standard like this for his appointees would live by example, and I believe or you would agree with me that our president would be one of such leaders.
Speaking generally on conflict of interest and gifts by public officials, former Commissioner of Shraj, Justice Emil Short, explained the difference between accepted and prohibited gifts.
Gifts which are allowed include unsolicited gifts of souvenir, gifts from family members on the basis of family relationships only. Those are the accepted gifts. Now, the guidelines also provide that whenever a public official is confronted with a gift, he or she should consider the following checklist. There are a number of factors that the public officer has to take into consideration in deciding whether to accept the gift. For example, there's a long list. I don't know whether... Okay. Is this gift in appreciation for something I have done in my role as a public official and not sought or encouraged by me? And this is a very important one. If I accepted this gift, would a reasonable person have any doubt that I would be independent in doing my job in the future when the person responsible for this gift is involved or affected? Another important consideration is, if I accepted this gift, would I feel free of any obligation to do something in return for the person responsible for the gifts?
Gifts have a potential to influence policymakers. So if you find yourself in public office, if you find yourself in a position of trust, then it is important for us to look at the issue of gift from a different perspective, from a more policy-oriented perspective, and to draw the line where a gift is acceptable, and where a gift should not be accepted.
Can a gift to a public officer amount to a conflict of interest? Emil Short explains.
If the gift is given with the intention of influencing the exercise of the public officer's duties, then obviously it's a bribe. And also, you see, normally gifts are given openly. Okay, like if you go to a chief's palace, you give a gift openly. Also, the amount of the gift of the gift or the so-called gift would be significant. Normally gifts are token amounts. But if you won't go to the chief's palace and give a brand new vehicle or $20,000 or even CDs. So you have to look also at the amount, and you have to look at what the person giving the gift intends to achieve by giving the gift.
You have been in the crusade against corruption for quite a long time. You are working at the presidency now. So if, let's say, President Mahama comes to you and said, Mr. Batidam, there's this contractor who does business with government, and he wants to give me a gift of, let's say, over $100,000 US.
Yeah.
Should I accept this gift or not? What advice would you give to the president?
Well, I'm sure you know that these are not situations that would occur in reality in terms of the kind of president we have and so on. But just as a hypothetical situation,
yes.
I think it's obvious. It's obvious that any leader, any president, or not even a president, a minister, a responsible public servant would know that could put him or her in a situation of not just conflict of interest, but potentially being corrupted. And so I think it goes without saying that you cannot take gifts from sources that have the potential of influencing your decision making. It's just not it's not acceptable, and I think a responsible leader, minister, senior public servant, would not need to be advised on that.
Jibril Kanazue has argued that he gave the gift to President Mahama as a personal friend. That friendship started when President Mahama was Ghana's vice president and when Mr. Kanazue wanted a road contract in Ghana but did not get it in his first attempt.
The people from Mechanical Oil, somebody was my friend there, and my friend helped me to set this company. His name is Mopopo. You understand? So my friend called Mike Edu is a contractor, Mikado. So when we went there, he told me to come and do the roads in Ghana because he came to visit my road here. So we made the first tender. When we made the first tender, we didn't win. One day he told me he know the vice president, let's go to salute him. We went to salute him and I showed him what we did in Burkina Faso. And we became friends. We talked a lot, One day my father died and he sent a delegation to our family and to salute us and to give us some money. You understand? And the family was happy. And they say the president, now he became president. When he became president, my family said, oh, let's send him a car as a gift. And we sent him a car. It's not a bribe. Is it a bribe?
Mr. Kanazue has also argued that he won the contracts on merit. But according to Daniel Batidam, if a public officer puts himself in a conflict of interest situation, there are still grounds to question contracts that are supposedly won through competitive bidding.
I think an approach towards building stronger ethical foundations, raising the moral standards, and then also, kind of using a public regime that says people who fall short of certain standards of behavior and conduct are not fit to hold certain offices. If we can do that and put them in our laws, that would go a long way to help us address corruption than the current approach whereby you have to prove that the fellow is corrupt. And sometimes the proof is with the corrupt person. So that even becomes problematic. When they say bring proof, and the proof is with the one that you seek or you allege to be corrupt, then that becomes a Herculean task.
So, is the president's gift a bribe, a conflict of interest, or both? Justice Emil Schott says, for conflict of interest to occur, one does not need to prove that the gift actually influenced the action of the public officer.
It's not necessary to prove that the public officer's exercise of his or her duty or functions has been influenced, but if the conduct appears or has the potential to give that impression, then it also constitutes conflict of interest.
It behoves on all responsible public officials, ministers, political appointees, senior public servants, to examine the motives for which gifts are being brought to them. I mean, it would be, unacceptable for me in a certain position to say that I do not understand or I didn't know that the gift being brought to me was meant to influence me. I think that would be unacceptable. So
in this situation, hypothetical situation I cited, could that gift be meant to influence the president if it comes from someone who does business with the government?
Certainly, if there is grounds to believe that, or if it is common knowledge that the person bringing the gift has an interest that could have motivated the gift in the first place, then it's obvious that the receiver, the public servant, be he president, minister, should exercise better judgment and say, you know what, I can't take this gift.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Roads and Highways is set to give Umaru Kanazue Construction Limited a 28-kilometer road contract on the Wahamile stretch in the Upper West region. That contract is worth 82 million Ghana cedis, and the contractor is being considered for sole sourcing. The sector minister, Inus Afuseni, explains why this contractor is being handpicked for the contract.
Now, Kanazue is in Burkina Faso. His equipment is finished to the occupancy. He's demobilized and his equipment is in Burkina Faso. He will quickly mobilize and come down by reason of the close proximity of the Hamle area to Burkina Faso. 2, he has a record of good work in Ghana and he knows the terrain.
The whole issue of examining contracts becomes a very tricky thing. You need some better lenses, because sometimes those who win contracts, even when you go and say it was on merit because we wanted the lowest and we got the lowest, but what did it take? What did it cost to make that the lowest bidder? Sometimes it meant something that is hidden. It's a cycle. It starts with a gift by me to you, and then from there I give you something, a contract back in return, which then becomes a kickback. So it becomes a vicious cycle of giving in expectation or anticipation of a contract in return, and then a kickback from that contract, so that a vicious cycle of conflict of interest, abuse of office, or abuse of entrusted power, and so on and so on continue. So you really don't have to make a big distinction between a gift and conflict of interest, a gift and a bribe.
According to Section 40 of the Public Procurement Law, the minister's reasons do not form part of the conditions that allow for the award of contracts through sole sourcing. This raises more questions why this method is being considered, especially when the beneficiary is the same contractor who gave President Mahama a brand new Ford Expedition. For Joy News, Manasseh Azore Arene reporting.
Recently, there's the issue of a Ford Expedition. I've never been under the illusion that that vehicle was a gift to the state, and it's never been used for my personal comfort. In any case, I don't use Ford. I don't like American cars. I use Japanese cars. Toyota is my car. But it's a matter for the Commission on Human Rights. I hear there's a petition there who appropriately will respond to it.